toss. He lays out and makes the catch.
And we are back for part 2 of the Double Switch podcast. Bring on the D-backs. Johnny, what do you know about the D-backs?
The D-backs, they're the team of destiny. I mean, you look at them on paper, they're not the Braves, they're not the Phillies. I mean, they're not the Astros, they're not the Rangers, but they're here. They're in the championship series. That's all you need to know. I mean, they're hot. They're hot as hell, and everything they've touched has turned to gold so far this postseason.
Yeah, if they weren't actually playing the Phillies, I think I'd probably be rooting for them because they're young, they're fun. It's kind of reminded me of us last year, and I think you're going to see that comparison a lot because they are the 6th seed who, for the first time in a while, got into the playoffs. They won their wild card matchup. They beat the 2 seed, which happened to be the Dodgers this year. They're playing well, and they don't really they don't know what they don't know, and there's no pressure involved with them because they didn't even expect to be here, and that's always kind of a blessing in disguise.
Yep, they got that house money mentality. They're playing with house money from this point on out. So you got to be ready for a team like that. You do.
Yeah, so as it lines up, they're the 6th seed. We are the 4th seed. We have home field advantage, which is always nice once you're in Philly playing in front of these fans. They obviously provide a very unique advantage, but let's kind of get into the D-backs here because they are a team that most people in Philadelphia probably don't know a ton about. I actually had the chance to watch them play a couple weeks ago in Arizona, and I think I kind of have a general idea of where their advantages lie and where their disadvantages lie. So let's start first with the offense. I think you kind of got to start with Corbin Carroll, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think he is that guy.
He is their best player. He was their top prospect. He is very young. He has MVP type upside, and I think the big target's going to kind of be on his back. He's the guy that you don't really want to beat you. You want to keep him off the base paths, and I think we're going to take the approach with him that they're going to take with us and Bryce Harper. You know, he's their guy, and he's the guy you want to get out, right?
Yeah, I'm going to push back a little bit on the Harper thing, though, because I think their player makeup's a little bit different. With Corbin Carroll, it's like Harper, if they can hold Harper to singles, they'll be happy, or hold Harper to walks, they'll live with that. But we don't want Corbin Carroll on base. He's a menace in the base paths.
The Acuna approach a little more. Okay.
Yep, a lot more like Acuna because, I mean, you get that walk or that weak ground infield single, and he's on third base. We gotta try to avoid that. It's hard. It's hard with those type of players because he's gonna be going for it as much as he can. But I think that's something to look at.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that he's a huge stolen base threat. I want to say he stole 40 or 50 plus bases this year. So, keeping him off the base paths is going to be big, especially with the guys who are slow to home plate. Obviously, having JT is going to be a unique advantage here because JT is very good at that type of stuff, controlling the run game. That's Corbin Carroll. Going down the rest of their lineup, just going to highlight some of their guys. Christian Walker is probably their second biggest impact bat. Big time pop from the right side. He's kind of the Austin Riley of the D-backs. Now I'm doing all these Braves comparisons, which is totally lame. But he is kind of the Austin Riley. Yeah, he's the Austin Riley of this team. 30-plus homers. He's the big run producer, and he's going to be another kind of guy to keep your eye on.
Yep. What about that? Is it Gabriel Moreno?
Yeah, he's good too, and he's.
I've been watching some of him lately. He can make some really good contact.
Yeah, hits the ball hard. They traded for him last offseason. They traded Varsho and received Gurriel, who's another guy we're going to get to here. Moreno.
That was that trade?
Yeah, that was a disaster for the Blue Jays. Disaster.
Oh my gosh. They gave the D-backs like two guys. I mean, these guys are
Yeah. Moreno's going to be another guy to watch. He hits the ball very hard. He obviously got hit on the, I want to say, hand or wrist last series, but he's fine. And then you kind of get to the veterans here. You have Gurriel, who we just mentioned, who's obviously a very good role player. Tommy Pham, who we've seen quite a bit. Evan Longoria, who I can't believe it's 2023 and we're in the NLCS talking about Evan Longoria. Yes, the same
That's
Evan
not on my bingo
Longoria.
card.
Same Evan Longoria who we faced 15 years ago
In the 08.
when we beat the Rays in the World Series. So I guess, yeah, I mean, the postseason's not complete unless the Phillies beat Evan Longoria in the playoffs. I think that's kind of just our path to the World Series, obviously. Those three are the veteran core there. Ketel Marte, who is probably their second or third best player. Another good player who it's kind of just the theme of this D-backs team. They have a bunch of solid players. Corbin Carroll is the face of the franchise. But up and down this lineup, they've assembled a core of players who they might not have the star power we do, but they're good. They're just good players who teams would be happy to have on their roster, you know?
Yeah, no, and the thing that impressed me the most is like my biggest concern when they were kind of struggling in the second half. I'm like, they're young, they're exciting, but like, are they deep enough? I think they are. I think they're, at least from position players, they have a lot of young depth, especially in their outfield too. I mean, they have Alec Thomas out in there too. He's a heck of a defender.
Jake McCarthy.
Jake McCarthy, yeah.
Yeah, they have a very unique group here. Unfortunately, the depth for them, it kind of stops with the hitters because pitching staff is where it doesn't get as clear cut. Zach Gallen coming back and facing his hometown Phillies is going to be a fun thing to watch. He's obviously Bishop Eustace product, and he's very good. He's going to finish top 5 in the Cy Young this year. Yeah, he's their guy. He's a good pitcher. He's an ace in today's game.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, me and you heard about Gallen growing up. I mean, we're not that much younger than him, and I'm excited. I think it's so cool, like the storyline. And Christian Walker, a Pennsylvania guy, two players that I'm very fond of. I follow during the regular season. I wish well on Zach Gallen. He's a Philly. He grew up in this area. He knows how it is. Yes, we're going to have to boo him. Yes, we want to see him fail in the series, but after the series, it won't be anything personal.
Yeah, he's starting game 1, so we're probably going to face him twice unless there's unless the series goes super well. We're probably facing him game 1 and game 5. Merrill Kelly gets game 2. Merrill Kelly he does it a little differently than Zach Gallen, but he gets pretty good results in his very unique way. He doesn't throw as hard. He locates very well. He's durable, super durable pitcher, and little older, but he's found his spot in MLB, and he's pretty good pitcher to have going game 2. So he's another guy who we're obviously going to have to deal with.
Yeah, no, he's. I actually haven't seen Merrill pitch in a while.
He's not the most exciting name, you know. He's just that guy who just exists and produces, and that's kind of all there is to him.
My whole knowledge of Merrill Kelly is that he is a good guy to have on your fantasy baseball team.
He'll give you those innings. He's very good.
He will. Elite. So I'm excited to see how that goes. The big question mark for me, because I mean, we've seen how it affected the Braves, and we're seeing how pitching's affected a lot of the great teams so far in the playoffs. Is their bullpen good enough to beat us?
That's what they're probably wondering too. They went out and got Paul Sewald to close, who's very good. He's a very good closer. And then the thing about the rest of that bullpen is we don't know a lot about them because there are a lot of question marks. You know, they're not a bullpen of superstars here. It was their weakness, and that's kind of why they tried to shore it up at the deadline. So not sure whether they're going to be good enough to kind of keep them in the games, you know, because once you get the starters out of the game, we have a very deep relief corps who is going to keep the game in check. It's going to be a big theme to see if they can do that on their side.
Yeah. Because I'm imagining the Phillies kind of going with like a similar type of mindset as they have been. I mean, if they have their best pitchers out there, let's get them to really, really labor. I mean, draw walks, long at bats. The Phillies did a great job of that with Max Fried and Spencer Strider. You think they're going to try to get to the bullpen early. That's got to be the strategy. I don't know what type of guys they have after Paul Sewald, to be honest.
Yeah, bullpen, and then I mean, we didn't even wrap up the rotation. You have Brandon Pfaadt going game 3, who's pitched well, but you don't know who's going game 4. They don't know who's going game 4, and I mean, name another D-back starter. Do you even know another one?
I do. Give me it's Zach Davies, right?
Zach Davies?
I think it is Zach Davies.
Oh man, yeah. You see, they probably haven't announced that because they can't possibly be feeling good about that. Zach Davies is.
Yeah.
He's equivalent to just that guy you signed to eat innings. You know, I mean, the thing about the series, which is so intriguing, is the Phils from the start, they designed this team to be in this spot, be in this series. You know, this is a roster that's designed for a 5 or 7 game series. It's just how we're built. D-backs obviously came into winning a little quicker than they probably thought they would be. So they're not necessarily a team designed to win this type of a series. That doesn't mean that they can't do it. It's just the back end of the rotation, the bullpen, that's huge in a series where, you know, every game kind of matters like this, you know. And they're going to have to battle and figure out how to manage that. That's what they're going to have to do to win this series. That's their key to this series.
Yeah, it's funny as we talk about this, like, and we're going to hear it all next week. And this whole series about how the Diamondbacks are like very similar to us last year and like how they're constructed. They don't really have that second half of the rotation. They don't really have that second half of the bullpen that's strong, but they're still here and they're still playing well. I really do. I keep saying on Twitter, I'm obsessed with, I'm like a broken record, but the D-backs are the Phillies of last year and the Phillies are the Astros of last year. And the D-backs are running into a buzzsaw, and that's us.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that's ultimately going to be what my viewpoint of the series is too. But let's talk big picture here.
All right.
That's the D-backs. What do they bring to the table here that is a clear advantage for them? Where are they pointing to and saying this is why we're going to win this series?
We haven't played them a lot. We haven't seen their pitchers a lot. We don't have a in-person scouting report as much on their hitters. Obviously there's video technology, so you could try, but I think that's the number one thing. We just don't know them like we know the Braves and we knew the Marlins. We see those teams all the time. Like we should have their number by now. But we cannot say they're standing at the D-backs. And if I'm them, I use that as a strength.
The funny thing about like this podcast and what we're trying to do here, they're probably not trying to do that on their side because they know on paper they have the worst team. And if you're a D-backs fan, if you're a D-backs player, you throw all that out the window and you don't even think about that because they're here and in 7 games, it doesn't matter. You know, we were saying the same thing last year. In a 7-game series, anything can happen. They have yet to lose this series. They don't know what Citizens Bank Park's like. And obviously, you and I know that that's probably a big disadvantage for them, not being used to that environment. But they don't know what they don't know. They don't know the pressure. They don't know the stakes. They've never been here. And a lot of these guys are getting their first taste of serious baseball. And to them, it's just baseball. It's not postseason, expectations. This team, like you said, they're playing with house money. They're not like the Braves coming in here and knowing that we have World Series expectations. This is a failure if we don't win the World Series. This team won 104 games. We have to beat the Phillies. We have to win the NLCS, and we have to win the World Series. D-backs aren't thinking that. They're happy that they beat the Brewers. They're thrilled that they beat the Dodgers. They're coming to Philadelphia thinking, we're this close. We've already done all these insurmountable tasks. Why not us? And you've seen it time and time again where the lesser team comes into a series and they just find a way to win. Cardinals Phillies last year is just a prime example. Phillies were thrilled to get to the playoffs. We snuck in as the 6th seed, barely making it. And that was the goal. The goal is to get to the playoffs. And once you get there, you've already accomplished the goal. So you forget about everything else. And that's exactly what they're going to try to do here. I do think that coming into Citizens Bank Park, and once they kind of start to feel the environment, feel whatever's in the air at Citizens Bank Park. I don't have a word for it yet. We need to come up with a word for what Citizens Bank Park does to teams. They're going to start feeling that. Yeah, they're going to feel that, and it's going to be tough for them to overcome that. It's going to. But then again, everything they've done has been tough. They beat the Brewers, who won 92 games. They beat the Dodgers, who won like 97 games. They're looking at the series, and by record, we're the worst of the teams that they've faced so far, and they haven't lost yet. So that's their game. That's their game plan, and that's their blueprint.
Yeah, there is something to be said about like that, playing that brand of baseball. I mean, that we played last year. Just like happy to be here, like no pressure. That it's a magical thing, but very much worth noting that Central baseball and out west, the baseball atmosphere is not the Northeast. It's not Philadelphia. It's not Boston. It's not New York. It gets different here, and I'm excited to see how they react to it. I don't think they're going to be like as soft as the Braves were. Sorry for using that word if that upsets you guys, but I think they're going to kind of ride with it because I think they have a fun manager, and I think the team is. I think they're just going to make the most of it, and it should be an interesting one.
Agreed. Well said. And then you're a Phillies fan, obviously. What are we looking at here in terms of the D-backs? Where do the Phillies have clear advantages? And if you're listening, you probably already know them, but go ahead, Johnny. Let us hear it.
Well, the bullpen. I mean, superstar power. I mean, it's funny to try to put your finger on just like a couple right now because it's like we have that guy Bryce Harper. He's better than anyone. Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos,
Zach Wheeler, Nola,
better than anyone. And I mean, to me, probably the most encouraging thing is that we really haven't seen, for the most part. I know Stott had the grand slam, but haven't seen Stott's best offense, Bohm's best offense, Schwarber's best offense, or Rojas's best offense. And Schwarber is bound to get going. It's how he works, and someone else is going to get hot in this series, and that to me is encouraging. What would you say? I didn't really hit on all of our strengths because I think we come in with the upper hand.
Okay, so you hit on a couple. I'll probably restate them. Bullpen's just the clearest of the clear advantages here. Your starters are only going to get you half the innings, and the bullpen's going to get the other half. So that's pretty much half the series where we already have a clear advantage. Superstars, we have superstars who are built for the moment. That's always a unique advantage. We have Citizens Bank Park home field advantage, which we haven't had ever. Is this the first, besides the Marlins series, this is the first 5-7 game series where we have home field advantage. You got to believe that if this game somehow goes 5 or 7 games, just to be in Citizens Bank Park in a game 7 like that with Ranger Suarez on the hill against Brandon Pfaadt, you don't like that. It kind of sounds like a trap game, honestly.
Why does it?
It sounds too good to be true. But no, the home field advantage is huge. The Phils have been playing in pretty not hostile. I don't think the Braves stadium's too bad. But they played in some stadiums where fan bases are very, very fond of their teams. And I don't know if Chase Field necessarily has that feel. They have a very good fan base, very good atmosphere there, but it's not necessarily a violent atmosphere like like it could be.
It's
obviously
West Coast baseball. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a different feel. It's a more relaxed feel around baseball, which is great for you guys. But welcome to Philly.
Yeah, when you think of some of the great baseball atmospheres out west, you have like the Giants, who are obviously awesome. That's an awesome place in October. I don't know if the D-backs have necessarily provided that yet. It doesn't mean they can't get out there and show up, but I think that the Phillies have played in harsh environments, and they're a little more battle tested for the visiting atmosphere than the D-backs are. So that's a unique advantage. Nola, Wheeler, Ranger, throwing those three outs, I don't know if it's necessarily an advantage for the first two. I think the Fott Ranger advantage is pretty good. And then we probably have to touch on whether we're going to have a Game 4 starter. Are we sending Taijuan Walker out in Game 4? Has that been confirmed?
No, it has not been confirmed.
I don't know if we are sending Taijuan Walker out in Game 4, but even if it is Taijuan Walker against Zach Davies, I think that's an advantage. And we're built for this type of a series. When Dombrowski was signing players and putting a roster together, it's a roster designed to win a series. And that's something that the D-backs are not. So that's going to be big as well.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, I'm wondering if Chris Sanchez is in that conversation as well.
Oh yeah, Christopher Sanchez is totally going to.
I mean, both haven't thrown in just so long,
Yeah, I don't know if a righty or lefty is
like a Matt Strom opener
or a piggyback.
We could get clever and do like a bullpen game, depending on how the first 3 games go as far as usage.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, if it's something to think about for sure.
Yeah, the Game 4 starter is going to be a subplot for the series, but
I'm sure Topper's already got it on his mind.
Yeah, no matter who we throw out there, I feel pretty good relative to how D-backs fans are probably feeling about Game 4. So that's kind of where the series lines up. And yeah, Johnny, I guess if you don't have anything else to touch on for the series, let's just get into predictions here.
Okay, you can start us off then.
Oh, you want me to start? I think the series goes 5. I just think sweeps are really hard. I don't know where they get that win, but this team's riding high, and 5 games should get it done.
Okay. So I guess you don't think that the couple days rest is going to derail our team.
Well, they have the rest too.
I know.
So I think
I was hoping we'd have some Braves fans in here that would catch hold of that one. But 5 games, I tend to agree. I think Merrill Kelly is going to be the one that steals a game because it feels weird. Merrill Kelly versus Nola. I think about it. I feel like it's a 3-3 game, and like they're both out in the 6th inning. And
I think it goes. Yeah, you're looking at Nola's game and thinking Merrill Kelly can squeak one out there.
I think they're just gonna. I feel like they're gonna put up the same exact performance. Is what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think 5 games is the likeliest, and then I mean after that, if you're going 6 or 7 games, the advantage just skews to our side because we have a deep bullpen and we have guys like Christopher Sanchez who are quality arms that haven't even thrown yet. So obviously, if it gets to that point, we're in even better shape. But let's not get to that point, right?
Nope. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but just be thankful we have probably the deepest bullpen in baseball right now.
Yeah, and
I think it's deeper than the Astros this year.
It's debatable, but probably the best roster left in the playoffs. It's probably close between the Astros, who are same team as last year for the most part, and us, but it's looking pretty good relative to kind of where we started. There were a lot of good teams who got kicked out, and we're playing good at the right time. So just keep it going.
That sounds good to me. Let's keep the good vibes rolling, and let's keep playing good baseball. I love Red October, man. This is what it's all about. Josh has his rally towels behind him. I got mine over here. I think I decided I don't have like just a little personal stuff for the pod listeners, but I don't have much decorations in my new apartment. I might get my rally towels framed up with the dates and maybe keep a little playoff record of games I've been to because go Phils.
Yes, good plan.
But that is
That's I don't have anything else. So
sharing my excitement for Red October, man. This is the best time of the year. It's just so good to be back on top in NLCS again, back-to-back years. Come on,
yes.
This is it. This is what it's all about.
Yes, we're very fortunate here, so appreciate it all, and let's not settle because we have 8 more left, Topper. So let's get to it.
8 more, Topper.
As long as you don't have anything else, that should do it for this episode. So we will be back to talk to you guys after game 1 and 2, probably. So, So before we go back to, so I guess Tuesday or I guess Wednesday. So before we go back to Arizona for games 3 and 4, you will hear from us. And until then, go Phils.